Stephan Sigrist, as the founder and the head of Think Tank W.I.R.E, you deal with innovations every day. Have you ever in your life experienced anything as crazy as the conversation with Sophia?
Well, it was definitely remarkable seeing her in action, but I did see more strange things that were crazier, I have to say. But as someone who looks into a lot of different innovations, it was really interesting to see how she's actually answering questions, how she's behaving. And I think the remarkable thing really is the combination between the facial expressions and the possibility to interact with people. And that's what she was designed for. So, yeah, something to remember.
So how did you actually feel standing in front of her and observing her, giving her answers to you?
Well, on the one hand, I mean, when you're close to her, it's really astonishing how similar she looks to a human, and you can also see the different movements of the face. So that does evoke some emotions. At the same time, when you look a bit closer, there is a clear difference. So you see that the movements of the face, they are artificial, and also when you hear the answers that she's giving, it's clearly a machine. And I think also that's the intent. It's not supposed to be something that is exactly the same as humans, or that's what she's teaching us. So it's a differentiated. It's two sides to that.
Do you think at some point robots like Sophia will really actually become part of our world?
Well, if you speak about humanoid robots, yes, I think there are specific elements or areas where we're going to be using them for interactions. But I would say that most of the robots that we're going to see, or we're seeing today, they're not going to be humanoid for many different reasons. One of them is the uncanny valley, so that people actually feel uncomfortable with a robot is actually very similar to a human. Another is that for most of the applications, it's simply not necessary to have a machine that's as similar as a human. It's going to be different types of machines, but most of them are not going to be human-like.
So what do you think, in which areas like robots like Sophia will actually take place?
Well, I could see areas such as receptionists, people welcoming at a certain place. I could also imagine in healthcare to make people feel comfortable to a certain degree. But as we see from research today, even in healthcare, there's robots for care. They're rather animals or smaller creatures that do not awake those fears. So it's a very limited way, and I think it's really about these elements where somebody wants to be represented.
Which digital development or progress would you like to undo?
Having a smartphone that I have to check all the time.
So you're like a slave?
We have become slaves, yeah. And then in a bigger perspective, when we talk about AI, a lot of people are scared, and we heard that from the Silicon Valley, that they're supposed to be taking over the world. And I don't think this is going to happen for many reasons. But the actual critical issue looking into our society in the next years is that we're actually becoming dependent on not necessarily robots, but artificially intelligent machines that take away responsibilities from us. Now, in many ways, that's good. I'm very happy if somebody's taking care of my apartment, cleaning up, putting the socks where they belong. But for many other areas, I think it's very important that we still keep up to our self-responsibility. And I think this is one of the biggest threats, so that we get into a dependency and we lose the ability to decide for our own.
And how do we do that? How do we not risk being too dependent at some point?
Well, I think it's about becoming aware. Becoming aware how artificial intelligence works. For example, I mean, we use it all the time when we look for information in Google. The system is quite efficient, but it's relying on historic data, so it brings you the things again that you have been looking for. This can be very efficient, but you have to be aware when you're looking for something in Google, you find the things that you already know. The music that you already know, your favorite wine, your favorite dress. So you have to be aware, and if you're looking for something completely new, maybe I come to you and ask you for your taste of music, and you will tell me something that I haven't heard of. So it's about the self-responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the machines. It's us that have to learn how to deal with these powerful tools.
In which area would you wish for faster progress when it comes to digitalization?
Well, I do think that robots that can be responsible to do simple tasks in our everyday life, I think this could bring a lot of progress. Of course, that can be associated with some people losing jobs, but this is going to happen anyway. But I think it will increase the quality of our lives in many ways. It can make our lives more secure, for example, if we use robots to do rescue work, and to also increase productivity by just sorting out, filling numbers in an Excel sheet.
Is there any advice you can give me when it comes to the digital world, how I will have to behave or how I will have to prepare for future behavior?
Well, I think one of the limitations is that when we talk about digital, we mostly think about technology. And of course, technology is the foundation. But an innovation takes only place if technology interacts with you as a human or with us as society. So I think that is important for companies, for the state, and also for us as individuals. If we think about digital tools, we have to see them in a larger context. So we need to understand what they can do for us in our personal lives, what could be the consequences for our families, for our society. And I think this is not only something that scientists or people in companies have to think about. This is the core responsibility of every one of us. And in a bigger perspective, we could actually say maybe this is quite similar to the movement of the Enlightenment that we've been going through some centuries ago, where people believed that everything was surrounded by God and they needed to break out to see the bigger picture. And I think we now are in a time where we think digital machines, sensors, AI, kind of is the whole environment, and it is one part, and we need to look beyond, and that's our responsibility for the next years.
Thank you very much for that. Stephan Sigrist.
You're very welcome, thank you.